Start. It says I'm live. I probably am live right now. It doesn't. It takes like a few minutes, a few seconds to show on the page. Unless the group I mean. And we're live. Okay, so I'll say a few words in Hebrew first. היי חברים, וובינר מוצר השבוע. יש לנו פה את מרק ואת אדוארדו מחברת דאטאדו. זה הדבר האחרון שאני אגיד בעברית. הוובינר הזה יהיה באנגלית, כי אנחנו מדברים עם חברים מחול. And transfer to English. So welcome everybody to Product of the Week. This week we have Dataddo. I don't know how to pronounce your name yet. Is it right? Dataddo?
Yeah,
Dataddo. Okay, so Dataddo. And I met Marek and Eduardo. I don't remember how we got in touch with each other, but the second I saw what you guys were doing, I was extremely impressed. And I think you kind of address a huge issue when it comes to mostly online marketing, but data sources in general. And we know the existing solutions that are out there, and Dataddo is not that known. So I'd like you guys to kind of use this stage to introduce yourselves to the Israeli clients that should, and I believe will be using Dataddo for their use. So without further ado, take the stage, Marek. I'll put myself on mute and shut up.
Thank you, Eyal, for the introduction. Hey, everyone. My name is Marek. This is my colleague, Eduardo.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
I'm a partnerships manager at Dataddo.
And I'm an account executive at Dataddo.
Yeah, we decided to kind of team up like this on you guys. So I hope it's fine. And I hope it's fine that we speak English, which I'm sure you also speak pretty well. So hope it's going to be okay. And yeah, we want to introduce our platform called Dataddo, which is a no-code data integration platform, which will basically help you connect all your data to your dashboards. That's the simple thing. That's the simple proposition. And I've got a presentation for you guys that I want to show you. So just give me a second for it to start. And here's the slideshow. And hopefully you're able to see my screen and you're able to see the start of the presentation. So those are our names down there. In case you guys want to join, connect with us on LinkedIn or wherever.
Absolutely.
And basically the problem that we would like to discuss today is, you as a, your company or your team or, whatever department or any organization unit, you probably need to deliver reports on your performance, whether it's how your team is performing, how your department is performing, or how the entire company is performing, and you need to be able to do that on a regular basis. The problem is your data is all over the place. Each department is using a growing number of software as a service tools. You have your marketing tools, you have your advertising, branding tools, you have your CRM, you have your financial tools such as Stripe, operational tools. So basically a lot of data in all those tools, but it's basically locked in these information silos where it's actually difficult to get a complete overview of your business, to understand how things are working together. Because one thing is, understanding how your Google ads are performing, but maybe you're also using Facebook ads. Maybe you're also using, TikTok. And maybe you also want to see how, for example, your spend on the advertising is actually affecting your numbers when it comes to, the number of orders for your e-commerce store, or, the number of signups and customers for your let's say platform, if you have some kind of a product like that. And you basically need a way to solve this. And the problem is that the traditional methods of doing this are no longer valid, because basically you're using a lot of different systems, and to be able to copy paste everything, it would probably take you an entire day or two just to get all the data, just by moving CSV files or copy pasting data. The next thing you can do is, of course, use some kind of custom integrations, but those are, it's actually quite difficult to set everything up, whether in Python or in R or whatever programming language. And also the problem is that things will change. The APIs change, things will break. So let's say you build your pipelines yourself, then you will also have to maintain them yourself. And it's a constant struggle, and it's not something that you'll be able to do, as one person. You will probably need, some kind of developers or data engineering team behind you to be able to do this once your organization grows. And let's say the third traditional method would be using some kind of a, let's say, data integration tool. But traditionally, there are tools like Informatica, Talent, and so on. And those are very powerful tools, but they're also incredibly complex and very hard to navigate. So basically,
and expensive.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. Thanks for that comment. Of course, that's also one of the major problems. So we want to propose, a solution that you should look out for. Ideally, you want something that supports all the services that you are using, plus also the future ones, because maybe in 2 or 3 months you will start using another software as a service tool. Maybe you will start using another marketing channel and so on. So you need to be able to cover those. You also need something that will grow with your organization, because right now maybe you might have a simple data infrastructure. Maybe you're just using Power BI or Data Studio, but over time you might also want to set up a data warehouse, and basically there's a lot of things that you can fit into your, let's say, your data stack as your organization grows. And you need to be able, of course, for this whatever solution to actually adapt to that. You also probably need something that does not require coding on your end, so that you can set up things easily and quickly. And that also doesn't require a lot of maintenance, because if you need to maintain things all the time, it will not work that well. And of course, it has to be cost effective, time effective, and it needs to have predictable pricing. And Eduardo will tell you why we think Dataddo is that solution that will basically solve this problem for you.
Thank you, Marek. So, as Marek already just said, Dataddo is a no-code ETL platform. Basically, in essence, what we allow you to do is to connect to any number of services. So we build connectors. Currently, we have around 200 plus connectors that we've already built. These connectors are built by working on the API that the services provide. So, for example, we can see in front of us now, we have the icons for Shopify and Salesforce and YouTube and HubSpot. So each of these APIs of these connectors will have endpoints that we can extract from. So, for example, for HubSpot, maybe you want to extract invoicing data or customer CRM data. For YouTube, perhaps you want to extract the analytical data of the view counts of the videos. Facebook, maybe it's the ads and impressions. Each of these connectors has different endpoints that we can extract data from. And with Dataddo, what we allow you to do is to log in and latch on to those connectors and to those APIs, extract the data and push it on to the destination. So the destination could be, as Marek mentioned, could be a data warehouse such as BigQuery, AWS, but as well it could be a dashboarding app like Power BI or Data Studio. So here it is, and we can see, so we basically, in essence, there's the 3 main components. We allow you to connect your data source, so you can automatically sync all your data, combine it with other sources. So actually we have light transformations available inside the system. and as well the possibility to blend sources. So if you have sources coming from, if you have multiple sources of data, you can actually blend them into a single table inside Dataddo before you send it on to your destination. As I mentioned, perhaps could be Data Studio or a dashboarding application. And then, the final step is to send it to that dashboards and storage. But in essence, we're extracting it from location A and loading it in destination B. And that is it. In essence, that is how Dataddo works. So there's a couple of different things that we can use the platform to do. So at its core, as I mentioned, visualization enablement. That's basically taking that data, be it from YouTube, Facebook, any one of the 150, 200 plus connectors that we have, and visualizing that data and building analytical graphs and reports from them. The next step would be the data centralization. So this is basically where you would have all of your data. So taking all of that data, rather than just visualizing it, allowing you to visualize that data, it would be to actually centralize it all in one central space so that you know where everything is located, everything is stored in one place, one easy to place, manage, one place that's easy to manage and easy to have a good cohesive overview of what's happening with all your data. Then as well, we have the possibility to distribute the data. So once you've centralized it, you can then further distribute it. So this is once it, for example, we've been centralized in Google BigQuery. You could then send it off to other destinations such as HubSpot, for example. If you need to take data from your Shopify orders, you can centralize it in Google BigQuery, and then you can send it off to for example, Stripe or another destination to distribute it across your organization. Synchronization, again, similar principle, whereby we allow you to synchronize the data so that you have one single source of truth and everything is connected across the whole platform. And then we have the data activation, which, as you mentioned, was the
basically it's reverse ETL, where, for example, you can, for example, what we do ourselves, we're running our platform, which is running on some production database, and we have data about the usage. So how many sources are customers using? When was the last time they logged in, and so on. And basically, we sync this data to our data warehouse, for example, BigQuery, and we can actually, use this data and combine it with data from HubSpot, and then we actually push the data back to HubSpot, so that our, for example, account managers know exactly when was the last time that each customer logged into the platform, how many sources they have, and so on. Which can, of course, be very useful.
If I may, I'll help you guys. You just give an example so people can maybe understand better what you're saying here. Is most of the people that are looking at this know about Make and Zapier and all these automatic SaaS platforms that you can automate things with. Potentially, you could use Make to pull the data off Google Analytics or Facebook or Google Ads or HubSpot or whatever, but you're going to face issues when it comes to synchronization. And also, it's going to cost you a lot of money to sync all this data because each piece of data is going to have to be handled as an operation. So what Dataddo does is basically takes care of that whole data connection and synchronization, so you can then visualize and create reports and unify your data to get the insights you need. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Sorry.
So, continuing on, one of the big benefits of using Dataddo over building your own pipelines and building your own connectors is the maintenance aspect. So we will absolutely take control and take ownership of the maintenance of the platform. So that basically includes support as well. We're available. We have support staff both here in Central European time as well as US time zones. 23 hours a day thereabouts, around the clock to help you. But also these companies, be it Facebook, Google, HubSpot, they're continually updating their API documentations and their APIs. And we basically take the load off of you and allow you to focus on just purely syncing that data, or extracting that data and loading that data. And we will take care of the maintenance aspect of ensuring that those APIs are all up to date. Everything is working as expected. And everything is basically as smooth as possible to use. Leading on from that as well, there is no coding. So we make the platform, and Marek will go through in a minute and show you a little bit more how the platform works in detail. But there is, we really put an emphasis on the no coding of the platform and being straightforward, simple to use. There's three main components, which is the sources where you're taking the data from, the destinations where you're sending the data to, and then the flows, which is the configuration between the sources and the destinations. I should also point out at this point that if you are an advanced user, and if that's something you'd like to do, we've recently launched Dataddo Headless, which allows you to interact with the entire platform of Dataddo using our own API, which we developed. So if you want to make some programmatic automations, you can code and interact with our entire platform without having to use our UI at all. And everything that you do, from creating sources, managing your flows, managing the business rules for the synchronization of your data, can all be programmatically achieved using Dataddo Headless, which, as I mentioned, is our new API for our end users and for our customers.
Yeah, maybe just a note about Dataddo Headless, that it's something that you can do if you're building a product, whether your product is a software as a service or some kind of customer data platform, or maybe just an internal product, for presenting data, for letting your let's say your employees or your colleagues browse through the data. You can actually use our headless product to automate everything, and basically avoid integrations with 100 different APIs, and just using one API that is stable.
Perfect.
Let me go to the next slide. Yeah, currently we support over 200 data sources and destinations. And even if I would say that's a big plus, that when we actually don't have a connector that you need, we're of course happy to build it for you within a couple of weeks. So let's say you start using our platform, and then in a couple of months you realize, oh, I've just started using a new software as a service tool, and I need this data connected somehow. For us, it's actually very easy to create new connectors, and we're happy to do it for our customers.
And most importantly, we don't charge for that process either. That's a completely free of charge. So as long as you provide us with the API documentation and the endpoints that you require us to extract from, the process of building that new connector is free of charge from your perspective. Okay,
I think this is enough for now. And let's just go to the demo and show you what it looks like. Yeah, sorry, that might have been the boring part, but we felt like it was necessary to get it out of the way. If you can still see my screen, I hope you do. I have a few Data Studio reports that I wanted to show you. This is some dummy data. I'm sorry, sometimes it doesn't add up because we're actually not consuming this data. But basically, through Dataddo, or let's say in Data Studio, you already have native connectors, right? For example, you have Google Ads connector, and I would actually encourage you to, if you want to build things for free, to actually use the native connectors that are available in Data Studio, or in Power BI or anywhere, and because you will not pay anything extra for those. However, to get data, for example, in Data Studio about Facebook ads, your Instagram ads, and other channels, you will basically need some kind of a tool like Dataddo that will connect it for you. And as I mentioned already, in this chart, we're basically comparing the ad spend let's say the total ad spend broken down by channels with the actual number of signups and customers. This basically what we've done. We've connected data from I think Salesforce or HubSpot in this case to actually get information about the number of signups and to get information about the number of customers. Of course, this is some dummy data, so this is just for illustration. But basically having this ability to compare everything within one report can actually give you a pretty good idea about what you are doing.
Especially as well, I think I'll lead on from that. But if you're, for example, if you're an e-shop, you're a web shop, and you have manufacturing processes involved, you can basically take the data from if you know that you're spending X amount on a marketing campaign, and you generally get, historically, you get this many number of pre-orders. You can basically combine that data to understand, okay, so if I spend 100,000 rupees or reals or whatever the currency is, I can expect that I will need to then produce X number of units to keep up with the demand and to basically future understand how much I would need to produce.
Yeah, and especially for an e-commerce business, if you're actually running multiple stores, whether you have multiple stores on Shopify, or whether you're also using not just Shopify, but maybe also WooCommerce or Amazon Seller and so on. Once you have multiple units, bringing all this data together becomes quite a complex thing, and that's why it's actually cool to use like a no-code solution that can do it for you. If I go to, I think I'm in the edit mode, I'll be able to show you. Sorry about this. I just need to hide this a little bit. Okay. So for example, if I go to the all costs, I can actually not here, but basically, I can see. I'll be able to see how the data was blended, right? So I will have, Google ads, TikTok ads, Facebook ads. I'll have Salesforce and Instagram ads. So basically, I just blend the data to get information about everything. And the same thing is basically what we do here, where we calculate, let's say the cost per customer, and so on. So this is just something that can be actually pretty helpful. I have another report here. I just wanted to show you this, this return on ad spend that you can easily calculate. In this case, the company is just using, they're just using Facebook ads and Google ads. So it's nothing, it's nothing crazy in terms of, how difficult it is to calculate. But basically, you just blend those sources and you get a better idea. And now I would quickly like to show you how I actually have to log in here. I would like to show you how the platform looks like, for you to be able to understand how actually easy it is to set up a source. So this is what the platform looks like when you log in, and there are three main components of the app, which is sources, destinations, and flows. So basically, sources are definitions of the data that you would like to extract. Destinations are, the various storages and, data lakes, data warehouses, BI tools, and so on. And then, of course, you have the flows, which are basically like the configurations or let's say the orchestrations between the data sources and the destinations. So basically, you can, with Dataddo, you pay per source, and you can send the data to as many destinations or create as many flows as you want. So let us try to let us try to configure a source here. So as you can see, we cover a wide range of services, whether it's marketing services, sales, financial ones, and others. Pretty much, we don't want to focus just on marketing. If you're familiar with services such as Supermetrics, they're kind of just focused on marketing, which can be a bit of a disadvantage for the users. So for us, we pretty much if the service has an API that we're able to connect to, and if there's at least some business potential for us to use the connector in the future, which usually there is, we're able to create the connector. We're gonna set up a source with Facebook ads, for example. This might be some actual data, so I hope I won't show too much stuff. But no, I will try to be careful.
Nothing incriminating.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing incriminating.
Exactly. So sorry, I just skipped the first step. So let me go back. So in the first step, you authorize your account. When you log in for the first time, when you start creating the Facebook ads, you will basically, add your Facebook account. Under that account, you should have some ads accounts associated. And you will be able to choose one out of those associated ads accounts. And of course, in the later step, if you need to extract data from multiple accounts, multiple ads accounts, we can actually set it up for you. So let's say, I think in the Pro plan, you can set up, you can extract data from, I think 10
accounts, correct.
10 accounts within one data source. So it will all go into one table, basically. So let's say now that you've selected the account, for each source, the settings look a little different. So for example, for Facebook ads, it might be a little more difficult because there's a lot more stuff to choose from. But let's say if you choose the reporting level ad, and I will just, for the sake of simplicity, I will just choose all the available attributes, and I'll just go with the default metrics. And basically, at any step, you can test the data.
So we can see here.
So basically, you'll be able to see, what kind of columns you have there. And as you can see, we're basically just getting one column, one row, because it's just one. We were running probably just one ad, and this is for the yesterday's range. So let's go back. And what you can also do, you can, for example, get rid of some of the metrics you don't need. So basically, ideally, you want to set it up just to collect the data that you need.
Right.
So you can test it again. Is this you see like there's two less columns now. So basically, if you're happy with the data, let's say you've done some basic exploration, this is the format that you're happy with, then you can go to the next step. The next step is, of course, some more advanced settings. I'm not a marketer, honestly, so I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what these settings mean. But if you're a marketer, you'll know really well.
I can tell you. So the breakdowns, you basically, again, as Marek mentioned, some of these will be different depending upon the connectors. In this instance, we've chosen the Facebook ads connector. So we can see here we have the time increments, we have the breakdowns. The breakdowns will be, for example, gender or region or country. You can actually open them and you can skip through and you can see, for example, device IDs. So again, these will all be, each of the connectors will have different advanced settings depending upon them. But that's pretty much it in essence.
So, then you go to the next step, which is, let's say, the important part, because in here you choose how often you would like the data extracted. So if we recommend, each source will have a different recommended setting. Mm-hmm. But for example, for Facebook ads, we recommend to extract the data only once a day, because if you extract it more often, the API will not give you updated data. So of course you have also the ability to go to advanced settings. So for example, if you wanted to somehow, let's say for some sources, maybe you can do the extraction daily, but extract a longer date range to be able to get any updated data. But it doesn't work like that for Facebook ads. So you just go with the standard settings here. Then you save the source.
Perfect.
And you go to the source list here, and of course you can see that the extraction was successful. You can actually look at the details and see if you're more technical, if you care about the stuff, to see what really happened there. And of course what you can also do is load historical data. So as you could see, we only extracted one row of data for yesterday, but that's probably not enough for us, right? So what we want to do is we want to go back a little bit. Usually, for different sources, you need to stick to, let's say, shorter date ranges when you're doing this. So you kind of load it in batches, to make sure that actually, because for example, the Facebook ads API is a bit
it's 90 days.
Yeah, it's a bit slow. So usually we recommend just going by let's say by 3 or 4 weeks here.
So that's definitely something we can help you. If you let us know during the onboarding process how many months, years you'd like to go back, we can absolutely do that for you.
Yeah. So in here, for example, we're gonna load this amount of data, just to stay on the safe side here. For the purpose of the demo, because I don't want to break something before your very eyes. So we just load the historical data. So basically we're loading like full weeks, which is ideal. It's good to have some kind of a system, of course, when you're loading the historical data. It's usually you would start on Monday and end on Sunday, or however your week is structured. So now we've extracted, more data. So we have an additional 110 rows. So we were running probably multiple ads per day there, at least for some of the days. And what we can do now is also, do a preview of the data. So this is where I would be maybe showing some sensitive information. So let me just close that. And
I think one nice feature to show here, Marek, would be the data quality check, because that's a feature that was highly requested that we added in recently. So as you can see here, this is a new feature we've added in recently as a big request from our customers. What this allows you to see is you have these 5 columns here. So you have the data columns, which is the columns of data that we're actually extracting from. But then as well, we can see that we have null values, 0 values, and anomalies. So what basically the system is able to do is detect if there is any null values, any 0 values, or any anomalies that have been detected. And Marek, if you actually click that 19 anomalies, if you click that little button there, we can see here, for example, the ad ID, or the system will be able to detect if there is something which is wrong with the extraction. And we can actually set up business rules as well, so that if it detects that there are anomalies, or if it detects there are something that's wrong, it will ask you for a manual confirmation to go ahead with that sync, so you're not syncing bad data, just to make sure that basically always ensuring that you have absolute data integrity and data quality when you're doing these synchronizations. So
now let's just continue with the flow. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this data to a flow. So let me just name the flow. So we've chosen the Facebook ads account, or sorry, the Facebook ads source. And as a destination, we're going to choose Google Data Studio, and we simply create the flow. And what happens here is, you just follow the on-screen instructions. Basically, what we've done is we've opened an API connection, and you just, click on this, go to Dataddo Google Data Studio connector, and you just copy this information. So now we're actually in Data Studio. We can name the source Facebook ads, Dataddo. I'll just name it like this. It's really up to you, of course. It will be just easier for me to find it and delete it after this demo. And yeah, so basically I just copied this information and I've connected it. And perfect. What happened here is, in Data Studio, the correct data types are associated with each column. And basically now the source has been saved to your Data Studio data sources. And now you can just create a report. And basically, whatever data in whatever format you would like to present, you can do that, of course. You can put in stuff like, let's say, date start. Sorry, I'm terrible with touchpad. You can, for example, put here like, I don't know, like the number of clicks or, whatever, and just, just present the data in whatever way you find best for you. Ideally, you want to build something, something beautiful.
It's
that,
also, I'd say
it will be easy to understand for, let's say, if you're building reports for your management or whoever, or your colleagues, or maybe just for yourself. You want to build something that will be easy to understand, of course.
I was just going to touch on the fact that if you search on Google, there are in fact a lot of templates available online for Google Data Studio. So, for example, if you search Facebook ads, Google Data Studio template on Google, you'll actually find that people have been creating those and sharing them, which is a very good starting point for you to better understand as well. Specifically, you can see how they've been set up, and it's a good launch pad to start from.
Exactly. If I might add, basically visualizing the data is the least of your worries, right? Like the bigger issue is actually getting the data and having it available for blending and displaying however you like, whether it's a table, a flow chart, or whatever you feel like displaying your data. Like Marek and Eduardo said, there are tons of templates out there for Data Studio, so you can find out one you like and start off from there. But the most important things that I think you showed here is that connecting, if I'm just comparing this to Supermetrics, for instance, right? So Supermetrics has its own kind of connector that it's kind of a weird way where you connect everything from within that connector. Here, you're actually creating a data source for a specific purpose, right? So that data source is much more organized in my eyes. It's much better to create these individual connectors instead of having one thing to do everything, right?
Exactly.
So yeah. I think on that note, Eyal, I think that's a good point to bring up, is that actually if we go to the flows here and we create a new flow, so what we can do is, so long as the source of the data is the same, we can easily come here and blend similar data sources and create one big master table.
You can blend the data before it gets to Data Studio.
Exactly, you can blend them, and if, for example, if they're not, you can actually do left joins and inner joins. So, for example, we could do like this, and we could say that we're taking the Facebook ads data on this side. Generally, you will need something to connect.
Similar, yeah, some way, yeah.
You need so you'd have the join key. So, for example, you could do account ID, and then you could join them on, for example, something similar from Google Analytics or Facebook ads.
Yeah. Or date time or whatever. I get it. Yeah, it's the whole blend thing. But this is great. Can you blend more than two things together?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, in Data Studio, if we're talking about Data Studio, I think you can only blend like six data sources. That's the limitation. So actually, once you need to blend more data, you can actually do that in Dataddo. And then of course, you can do whatever else with it in Data Studio, of course.
Right.
Also, I should probably mention that, sending, let's say, connecting all the data to, Data Studio or Power BI or something like that, it works up to a certain point. And then, once you have a lot of data and you want to, store all the historical numbers, I would actually recommend to go with a data warehouse, because that will allow you, much better transformation capabilities, much better, it will just grow with your organization much better, because, and you will also be completely in control of your data. So for example, basically, for example, Google Analytics or GA4 will only store, a certain amount of data, and then they won't allow you to, to actually access any historical numbers from, like, let's say 3 years ago or something. So it's always better to collect it in a data warehouse or some database.
Yeah, I just need to say something. People are pretty scared of the word data warehouse or data lake, but essentially it's a database, right? It just works in a different way. Where, for instance, BigQuery is a great example, because BigQuery is dirt cheap. Really, it's really cheap. I mean, unless you're a huge organization and you use terabytes over terabytes of data, even then it's not that expensive. But essentially what Marek and Eduardo are saying is that they recommend you, if you have a lot of data from multiple sources, it's not the best idea to read the data directly from the data connector. But the best thing would be to have the Dataddo connect to BigQuery and sync BigQuery with those sources. So then you can read the data off BigQuery. And BigQuery, the best thing about BigQuery is that it gives you any query, as crazy as it is, will return in less than like half a second. Like, it's so quick. And then, like you said, you won't have any trouble querying data from like 3 years ago, because everything is managed within that database, right? So BigQuery is essentially tables that have data in them, and you can query them. So anybody that didn't use BigQuery until now, I recommend you start using it, because you'll get like, I don't know, 7-cent bills from Google Cloud. That's like how much you pay for the first months. But yeah, it's very, very, very useful. I really recommend using BigQuery, especially when you solve the issue of actually getting the data there, which is the biggest issue, right?
Exactly. I think a lot of like data analysts or data scientists will tell you that getting the data and cleaning it takes about 90% of their time. And then 10% is spent on analyzing and insights and so on. And actually with Dataddo, we don't only help you get the data, but we also do light transformations on it for you. And basically we kind of pre-clean the data already. So, all the data types are set correctly. Or we create the tables in the database for you. So for example, you don't have to worry too much about how things are going to look like. If you set up a BigQuery, we just create the BigQuery tables for you and set everything correctly for you to work. So maybe then you just calculate some more metrics, some KPIs and so on, but that's it. And then the cool thing about BigQuery, for example, is that it has a native connector, or vice versa. Data Studio has a native connector for BigQuery, or basically whatever technology you go with. I would also think a lot about the compatibility. If you want to use Power BI, maybe as a data warehouse or database, maybe use some kind of a Microsoft technology.
Azure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is that when you connect the source to BigQuery, it generates a table for that source, right?
Yeah.
That's great. It manages your tables for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Great.
And then, of course, there are different write modes for BigQuery. So, for example, you don't want to create duplicates in some cases. So we can actually, basically check the existing values and just update them and then add the new ones. And there are many things that we can actually kind of do for you. Yeah, if you could.
So if we go here, I can show you. Maybe it's quite nice to show actually people.
Oh, you could stay in the flow. Actually.
Oh, we could. Yeah, we could. Okay, let's do one BigQuery. Yeah, so this is what you're talking about, right? So we have different.
Yeah. So basically, you can, for example, for some sources, you will be just you'll be just inserting the data. Just adding new values. In some cases, you might use the truncate insert, where everything in the table is erased, and you're just adding new data. And for some sources, you will be using this what we call upsert, where you keep the original data, you add new data and just update the existing values, to make sure that there are no duplicates. And of course, we have a variety of sources. And what's pretty cool that I wanted to mention, for example, when you look at, let's say when you look at Stripe, you actually get various data sets here, and you can even like search for the attribute or the metric that you're looking for. And what's also cool is that each metric actually has a description, meaning we actually explain what it is, so you don't have to look into the documentation, because with some other let's say data integration services, they just give you all the data, and it's completely up to you to make sense of it. We actually provide detailed descriptions of the metrics, at least for these, let's say, more complex sources of data. So you can actually, it's basically like a data catalog, if you're familiar with that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much.
Yeah, maybe if there's some questions from people in the chat, or if there's some questions around.
Anybody have any questions? Ram, Moran, anybody? It's also possible they don't have questions. It's also okay. But maybe you should tell everybody a little bit more about your pricing. How does it work? So, I mean, the best way to kind of understand what they saw today, unless they're not dealing with a lot of these type of things, is play with it, right? Like there's no other way to go around it.
Yeah, I should probably mention, we have it in the other slides. We have a new product called Dataddo Foundation. It's a free plan, basically, freemium, where you can connect up to 3 data sources, and it's completely free. You can synchronize it weekly. Of course, there are some limitations to the, compared to the paid plans, but for a lot of use cases, it actually works. And I should have also mentioned that the Dataddo Foundation only supports BI tools, so it doesn't send data to to data warehouses and databases and so on. So basically, it takes care of let's say the visualization enablement use case, where of course, let's say if you set up Data Studio, you will already have some native connectors, and then you need to connect some extra data sources. So you can do that. You can do that through us, completely free. We also have a 14-day free trial. So when you start, you can explore the platform completely free with our support. If you need help with anything, if you need us to set anything up for you, we're of course available. We also have a free credit that we've made available for you guys. So it actually doesn't work when you're signing up, but when you are subscribing. So that's why we've put like extra 14 days on the deadline, where if you sign up for a free trial today, you basically go through the entire 14-day free trial period, and then you can actually subscribe and get those $105 for free. And basically, the pricing works per source. So you actually don't pay for volume, but you pay for for the number of data sources that you've created. It's $35. Currently, like compared, for example, to Supermetrics, it's hard to say whether we're always cheaper or not. I would say there are use cases where we are cheaper. There are use cases where we are more expensive. Cool thing is we are planning to do something about that, but I don't want to reveal too much. But let's say in the upcoming I don't know, maybe weeks or months, there will be some changes which should make it very interesting, I would say. But we still have that foundation plan, which is for free. So I would actually, unless you need, let's say, the advanced features, I would recommend starting with the foundation plan and just exploring a little bit.
Quick question. So you said it's $35 per data source, right? So data source could be, for instance, Google AdWords. But if I have an MCC account that has 100 accounts under that data source, it's still one data source?
Not really.
So up to 10 accounts is included in the $35. Above that, we have a pricing schedule.
Okay, so within that source, I'm limited to up to 10 accounts within that source.
Up to 10 accounts is $35. Up to 10 accounts. Okay.
What I should also probably mention, source is not equivalent to a connector for us. So, for example, HubSpot is what we call a connector. But obviously HubSpot, or maybe HubSpot is not the best example. LinkedIn I should maybe show Stripe. It will be easier to understand. So for example, for Stripe, you will have these, for example, customers will be one data source, invoices will be a data source, and so on. So this is just, it's actually pretty simple to understand once you start using the platform, because you will see how many data sources you had to create.
We cap it at 6. So it's $35 per data set or $220 for the entire connector, regardless of how many data sets there are. So it gets capped at 6 data sets, basically.
Yes. Basically, once you're using 6 or more data sources, we will
give you the whole connector.
We will give you a better price.
Give you the whole connector. Is there any other questions, any other thoughts, maybe from the panel or anyone else from the
I don't see any. I think people pretty much understand. The people that we have on here are pretty savvy, right? Like I know them. And this webinar gets more watches after the live one, so you're supposed to get fewer responses. But I would ask you guys to leave the text you had with the link and everything in the comment.
Right.
That as a comment for this this live, so people can see it. And it's good that you limited for the 16th of August. And yeah, I mean, for me, I'm gonna start using Dataddo. I already have a few projects coming up, and I like other guys to try as well. No reason not to when you have a 14-day free trial. Exactly. You might as well go ahead and try it. And yeah, I mean, great stuff, guys. I mean, it's where I'm a geek, right? These are the type of things that get me excited. I'm not a normal person, right? But I know how difficult it is to get these things going, and you made it really with a pleasant UI, and it seemed really straightforward. Yeah, so for me, I'm extremely happy that I discovered you guys.
If you have any questions, if anyone out there has any questions at all, feel free to reach out to either myself, Marek, or our support staff. We're always here to help. We're all a very friendly bunch, and I'm sure we'll find some way to make it happen and make it work for you.
Great stuff. So thank you so much for coming and presenting Dataddo to us. And yeah, expect to get some people contacting you.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thanks for having us, Eyal. It was a pleasure presenting Dataddo to everyone. And I hope we're going to talk very soon.
Sure. Oh, by the way, I didn't say, you guys are from the Czech Republic, right? So we already have a big relationship with the Czech Republic because of Make. So I don't know what you guys are eating or drinking over there, but apparently it's working.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.